Yeah, Vishalji, over to you now.
Yeah. Jai Jainin sabhi ko. Welcome on this Sunday evening and for India and rest of the world morning or afternoon session. The session number 129 of Jainin and very first session of the year, and we are very excited to have a very special person with us, Dr. Shugan Jain. I just want to, before introducing Sir, just talking about Jainin for a minute for those who are joining for the first time. Certainly, many of you have been with us for many years. It's been a 6 years journey, started with the simple objective of bringing the application of Jain principles in day-to-day life. And that's what we try to do every time that pick a concept, have someone speak to us, and then bring it to the day-to-day life so that we can take it forward and then benefit from it. So we continue to have speakers. Last one was Mr. Amit Jain, chairperson of L'Oreal India. And he talked about vegetarianism in the modern context. And today we have a very special topic on Anekantvada, Dr. Shugan Jain. Very illustrious background. I think we share the background on Jainin, but just to speak for a few lines, we talk about in the modern context. So Dr. Shugan Chand Jain has been MS in Operations Research from New York University and PhD in Jainology. And he did MS in Operations Research way back, I think in about 1965 or 70. So when I was talking to him about some of the new things about AI and the trend happening in the world, he could very well relate to it. And he has got a lot of knowledge on that part. But more than that, I think his work around Jainism has been so much to talk about. So since 2001, he focused on spreading Jainism across the world. He has been associated with the International School of Jain Studies. He is the president there. He has been behind bringing Jainism in many world universities, and he has done several papers around Jainism. So we are glad to have you, sir, here with us, and on the topic of Anekantvada, its concept as well as application in life. Thank you so much, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Vishalji. It's a pleasure to be with all of you today. Today, my topic is Anekantvada and its application in life, with special emphasis on to lead a happier life. Because I always say that whatever we want to learn, we want to apply it to improve our life. So I will try today to discuss the basis and the doctrine of Anekantvada, so that we can use it in our life to predict the likelihood of an event and take appropriate actions to make it more favorable to meet our objectives. And my presentation will be based on Jain metaphysics and epistemology, modern developments in science, psychology, and my own experiences of international living. So I start my presentation. Let us say what Anekantvada stands for. Anekantvada, we see is a combination of words. Anek means many or poly, and ant means end or views. So we can translate literally as polyandism, a doctrine of multiplicity of viewpoints. I use this translation keeping in mind the use of this doctrine to predict the likelihood of an event. And what is the basis of Anekantvada? And I say it's a Jain definition of reality and path of spiritual purification. By reality, I mean Sat, a sense of existence. So in Jainism, we define reality as all existence are real. And this is, a unique feature of Jain doctrine. Some say that everything is unreal. It's, because of our lack of knowledge that we see things, otherwise there is nothing one except God. But in Jainism, we say all existence are real. That means whatever exists in the world is real. And this is really a unique definition of showing you the diversity of existences we see all around, different types of living beings, material things, so many things all together, and we wonder what it is. So this is the basis. All existence are real, and so I say reality itself is anekanti. Then second is the doctrine of moksha marga, rational belief, rational conduct, rational belief, knowledge, and conduct together is the path of to attain liberation. Tatvat Sutra Pehla Stotra. But here I emphasize the word together. This means that all of these three things move together. And these are not discrete, that you have first belief, then knowledge, and then conduct. And this gives rise to a path of three factors moving together. And the impact of this you will see later on when I talk of purification itself as Gunsthan doctrine. The next is we talk about life. You see, what do we understand by life? We say that in our doctrine, we say 84 lakh yoni or 8.4 million yoni or existences called sansar. And we keep on moving through this cycle of life and death. And this we call as sansar. But the beauty is that only in human existence can we try to get out this sansar, because sansar is considered as pain. So we have to be very careful that by our good karma we get born as a Jain and get exposed to this philosophy. So we have to use this existence to achieve our objective or to move towards our ultimate objective. And this will involve our understanding of who am I. This is very important. Unless we know who am I, what can I do? And then the causes, why different things happen to me. And what is my dharma or swabhav, that is moksha marg in Jain philosophy. And the stages indicated in gunstans. And finally, the conduct itself, or I call it free will, what I can do, and this is in my hand. And we will see this from different perspectives, primarily Jain perspective, and use other perspectives to justify these Jain views. And the objective is to predict the outcome, so that if I can predict the likelihood of some outcome, I can take a preemptive action to correct it and make it favorable to me. Now I come to, we move forward and we understand this concept a little bit more in details. The Jain definition of reality.
अंकल
How do I?
एक रिक्वेस्ट थी कि अगर आप हिंदी इंग्लिश दोनों मिक्स कर सकते हैं अगर, तो दैट विल बी ग्रेट. किसी का मैसेज आया था.
In English, don't mix.
In English as well as Hindi, you can use as language. अगर आप हिंदी में भी बोल सकते हैं, तो it will be easier as well.
Okay.
But choose as per your best way possible, whatever is convenient to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, we start with basis of definition. So, knowing an entity. How do I know something? And I say gross. Gross means what I can see or what I can, touch and know through my sense organs. So in Buddhism, we have a definition, we have a system called Vivajyavad, or knowing by parts, sum of parts. Like the seven blind men and the elephant. You know a part, you know the second part, and you put together. So this is based on discrete processes and discrete components, and you put together. In Jainism, Mahavir said that we should know everything from four viewpoints. He's not talking of parts. He's talking of a single entity, but looking from different perspectives. And these are Dravya, Kshetra, Kal, and Bhav. And this is the basis of doctrine of Anekantvada. I will talk to you. And the process of knowing an entity in Jainism, we call as Nayavad and Praman. That means we have to know according to our objective and knowledge certain entity, and then we keep on moving until we use some praman like scriptures or inference and things like this. Now, what is the basis of Anekantvada? And this is the detailed one, and this is philosophical definition of reality. In Jainism, we say utpad, vyay, dravya, yut, sat, or origination, destruction, and permanence. That is, permanent and impermanent coexist. That is, the reality is there is something, but it is changing continuously. And that means there is a process. Reality is a process. And then this reality is divided into two classes, the sentient ones and the insentient or the material matter. And these are both of different nature and infinite in number. So this adds to the complexity or the diversity as we see. And the next very important component is gun payar but dravyam. That is, each substance or each entity has multiple attributes, and each attribute is changing continuously and affecting each other. For example, a living being, I have the attribute of knowledge, I have the attribute of, perception, and so on. So many, non-concrete, and they're changing. In the matter, for example, we have taste, touch, color, etc. Now you look at color. There, is 5 basic colors in Jain philosophy, and each has thousands of shades, and you can put them together giving multiple shades. So all these, changing qualities of an entity gives a very complex situation, and they are affecting each other, and that makes it more complex. So I say that when I put it together as a mathematician, I say it's a continuity of random processes of different variables affecting the outcome. The variables are like the attributes and the impact that one makes and being impacted by others. And then there are different variables and there are different entities themselves. So this is the basis that Anekantvada, I say, is based on the continuity of random processes of different variables. And here is that I now translate it into a statistical paradigm. I say Anekantvada is based on a static. We can use a statistic as a stochastic process to define the outcome. And how do I say, why do I say this? Because when I look at a definition of stochastic process, I say it's a random process, collection of random variables that are indexed by some mathematical set. And each probability and random process are uniquely associated with an element in the set. Now you see, this is the thing, and it is exactly similar to what I have tried to show as the basis of Anekantvada in the definition. The three, these three characteristics I showed you: origination, destruction, and permanence, and a combination of multiple attributes, and each changing continuously. So Anekantvada follows, or Anekantvada uses the mathematical process or statistical process of stochastic process to define, to predict the likely output, likely outcome or an event based on our actions. It is not that today I do something good and tomorrow I will feel good. No, there may be 100 and other variables which are affecting it. And if I do something good today, I may not have a good outcome immediately or next day or a day after. Now, having understood it, how do we apply it in our life? Because theory is one part. Now we will see how we apply it. So what are the different characteristics of Anekantvada that we see here? And here I've listed these. The first fundamental thing that we have to see is that opposites coexist. And this is very important because we have seen permanence and impermanence, Jeev and matter. They coexist. That is, permanence cannot exist by itself, like in Hindu philosophy, or impermanence, that is momentary in Buddhism, it cannot exist by itself. So we say opposites coexist. And the example, I give you a very simple example in life. We make oil, we use soap to make oil. And we use soap to remove oil. When I go to a theater, I choose the front seats if I want to enjoy a play. And I choose the rear seats or the balcony seats if I am going to see a movie. Objective is same, but see that my decision changes continuously. Then the second thing is multifaceted attributes and mode. Nothing is permanent, they are changing. I'm having problem, let us say, of hearing today, but it can be treated. It can change. I can become dumb, totally deaf, or it can improve. So attributes keep on changing, and each instant, I know mode, affects the others. So unlike, we say, some of us say that, Kramvat Paryaya, or everything is determined Niyativad. Anekantvada is not based on that doctrine. Anekantvada is totally different. And with these, we have to learn. If I want to be happier, that I have to reconcile to the facts. That is, if they are good people, they are bad people also. If I'm not well today, it is temporary. I will become better tomorrow. Or if I'm good today, I may not continue to be good tomorrow
हाँ
or
तो
day
मैंने कट दिया
after.
तो भी आवाज नहीं आ रही।
मेरी आवाज नहीं आती?
अच्छा
Okay.
ये
Hey, uncle, we can hear you, uncle. Please
Okay.
carry on.
So, with these things we know now, these are the basis of our applying Anekantvada in life. And the result is that the outcomes, what I do now, whatever action I take now, it is very difficult to predict its outcome, whether it will be favorable or unfavorable. Like, we go to the temple and put a coin or 10 rupees in the box and pray, God, do something good to me. It's not necessary that putting that money in the coin box will result in good things. We can estimate the likelihood, like in statistics. And the outcome is expressed using Sadhva doctrine. And we use the word Syat. And Syat, I say a little bit, leaving space for correction or space for, accommodation of other alternatives. So this is how we understand Anekantvada. And now we start looking at how we apply it in life. In life, the first and the most important thing is I must know who am I. And the Jains say, I am a soul, a unique individual expression of divine having a human experience. Now here you see we are talking of soul, God, Godhood, and the humanity. These three things together, they are in one. And what it implies, and how it helps us to understand life better and make things. I will come back to who am I in a little bit more details. But I want to see you the multiplicity in my own existence. I'm not just body or I'm not just soul. I can say I'm just soul. No. The soul has different gradations. And my existence is also human. I can be a subhuman. I can be an, air body or water body or whatever different types of existences. And then the question is, what is my objective in life? Because one of the qualities of us, the living beings, is that whatever we do in life is to achieve our an objective. So what is my objective? Now, Jain philosophy says that it is ultimately to attain moksha, or pure soul state. That is no association with matter, body, and karma, or quite simply saying, out of the cycle of 8.4 million yogis. This samsara, we call it, as a transmigration cycle of pain. We want to end suffering forever. And what does it imply is dissociation of all karmas and matter, non-matter. Then we want to come to a state of self-realization. That is pure soul state, enjoy its own nature forever. Atmanubhuti. And I use the word self-reliant. That is, in that state, the self is relying on itself, or the soul is relying on itself. This is the ultimate aim, self-reliant, and it is very important because I'm going to use it for this life objective only. Now, what is my present life objective? I have seen the ultimate objective, but everybody cannot attain, moksha and does not want to attain moksha. So I just say that my present life objective is to evolve and become the best version of myself. Whatever I am today, I want to improve upon it. I don't want to become worse than what I am today. So I want to make efforts to continuously evolve and become the best version of myself. And this I take from the Jain doctrine, in which we say the nature of a living being, of the soul, is to move up, not to move down. It is a matter karmas which bring it down. Now, how do I interpret this my life objective? I want to be self-reliant. You see that from the ultimate objective, self-reliant, I'm translating into practical version. I want to be self-reliant. In what sense? Emotional, mental, physical, financial, and spiritual. Because I am a combination of matter and soul. So I have to be self-reliant from all those objective. That is my objective of life. Like World Health Organization defines, to be healthy, you have to be physically, mentally, and now they say spiritually also. And this supports my objective that I want to evolve and become the best version of this. Now I look at who am I, because this is very important. See, you see this diagram, you must have seen this earlier also. I have used different shades, which are all, let us say, coexistent. They are the same size, that is, they are all of the same size, but I've shown it in different colors to explain this thing. The white part you see is the pure soul or the divine in me. I say pure soul, somebody says God is in you, or like, Tolstoy says the kingdom of God is within. So this is the pure soul. This is the me, and this is permanent. And while the other three shades are all matter. The outer one, the green one, is my physical body, which is the limiting thing, as you see, which interacts with the external world and is affected by the internal also. It is affected by external and by the internal also. The blue thing is, let us say, we call it karmic body. Whatever actions I have done in my earlier lives or in this present life, they get accumulated around my soul as matter particles. So this is the karmic body. And they germinate at appropriate time, resulting in experiences we call fruits. And the scarlet is, I call it a psychic mind, egoic body. This is like, we can say, like the mind, it is a storage of memories, let us say, emotions, and beliefs. So it has two aspects. One is the psychic, and then there is a matter. So a matter I have shown, and these are activated by the soul. And this is, in general terms, you will see this is the mind, and it is this state which controls the reactions accruing from the body and the karmic, these things. So this is my pure thing. This is my whole combination of a permanent and the impermanent components. The matter things, you can say they are, I want to get rid of them, but the beauty of them is that only as a human being, I can control the scarlet part to get rid of the blue part. And the moment I get rid of the blue part, partially, which affect my soul, or which does not let my soul enjoy this thing, we call like deluding karma and obscuring karma, then I start enjoying my pure soul state. So this is what I call as the who am I. And this I now collaborate with the scientists, research in sciences. Candace White is a renowned scientist, a renowned scientific researcher from USA, and whose books you might have read, Molecules of Emotion and things like this. She did a lot of research on HIV and other things, and ultimately she came to wellness of life. And this is what she says. I believe that happiness is our natural state, the white part. That bliss is hardwired. As I said, all of these are, co-existent. Like in Jain philosophy, we say, soul is Swadhe Pariman. The soul is of the same size as the human body it owns. Only when our system gets blocked, shut down, or disarrayed, this is the scarlet part, do we experience the mood disorders that add up to unhappiness in the end. So what I was trying to tell you from Jain philosophy, she is saying this, and then she has come up with ways, chemical, and she shows how the emotions move chemically throughout our body, affecting different parts, and how to change emotions, etc. With this, now I come to why do I experience different things, pleasures or pains. And here I come to say that life experiences are a mixture of pain and pleasure, though with more pain. And here I take the two, some quotations from Jain philosophy. First is, in Jainism, we say pain is bondage. And I take it from Sutkritang, which is the second limb of Jains. And the first words of that, Mahavir says, Bujje Jai Tyutkhe Jai. Know the bondage and break the bondage. And then in next eight, he says, bondage is pain, and says, knowing this, break it. And then he says, what is bondage? And it is attachment, getting hooked to other things. So in Jainism, it is called bondage. Pain is bondage. And I want to minimize bondage. In other terms, you can say it like attachment. Attachment is bondage. So this is the basis that in Jain philosophy, we say pain is bondage. And how we, acquire bondage, more bondage, I have these two sutras from, first sutra from Tattva Sutra, which says wrong belief. When I believe right to be wrong or wrong to be right, like when I say I am the body instead of I am the soul, that is wrong belief. This is the first cause. Inadvertence, laziness, tainted emotions like anger, arrogance, etc. And then unnecessary activities, useless things you do which don't help in achieving your objectives. And the second is use of free will. In Jain philosophy, we say, I have the free will to do what I want to do. And the Tattva Sutra, the second chapter, first thing, it says of five different forms, five different varieties of activity I can do. First is upsham or subsidence. Other is chayupsham, subsidence from annihilation, the rise and inherent nature. Here I'm trying to talk only of the rise of karmas. So I can subside, or I can subside some and, destroy some, and like this. And the example of this is, if I'm sick, if I have some pain, I can suppress it because I want to perform my today's work. Or if it becomes tolerable, then I may, get rid of it. Or I may do both, some subside and some these things. So these are the different activities I can perform. Now you see the two, these are all in my hand. I can pause, I can do things as in the first one to improve, to enhance my pain. And the second is my free will, what I can do. Now here, I take it to the psychology. Now here, Maslow, who is a renowned psychologist, he has developed this hierarchy of needs. And what he says is unmet needs is pain, bondage and unmet needs. And here I think he's relating to aparigraha, concept of aparigraha. He takes it for granted that attachment to the body or the world is essential. And the body needs, as a body, we need something. And he has developed a hierarchy of these needs. Physiological, safety, love, esteem, self-actualization. And in the end, during the end of his life, he put this self-transcendence also. So you see, he put a hierarchy that these needs keep on meeting and we keep on moving to meet, to achieve the higher. And if we don't meet these needs, we feel pain. Now, this is a good, way of knowing what in practical terms what bondage is. And this does not mean that they are discrete, that one will happen on the second. It's just to show the primary thing, secondary thing, and they can coexist also. So this is the psychological psychological view of pain, and the Jains say there, and this is what is important to relate to the Jain philosophy and our experiences in life. Now, in medical science, we say, the non-functional of bodies because of our food habits or stress and stress and work habits, all these have been identified very clearly. Now, the next is external. So far, I've been talking of things in our control. I can do it. But I'm affected by external environment also, what is happening. For example, in Delhi, pollution is very bad. It is not in my control, and it affects me adversely. So then my neighbor, my family, how do they interact with me, and how do I respond to them? Or, the nations going on war, like in Ukraine. The people in Ukraine, they are doing their best, but it is out of their control. Their life is in danger. So there are external causes also, other living beings, environment, and time, etc. And here I refer to the Jain concept of Paraspara Graho Jivana. Living beings help each other. So you see how Jain philosophy is helping me understand why things happen to me. How, the basis of why different experiences, life outcomes occur to me. Now I see what is my objective. So I say it is to evolve and become the best version of myself, like we have discussed before. Now here I take you this. I have taken a picture of Gunasthans, the 14 Gunasthans, if you see, and I have divided into different, stages of spiritual purification. Now, and you will see the 14 steps I have shown. Now, if it was simple and discrete, then I will move from stage 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 and continue up to 14. But you see swings at each stage. I can go from 1 to 7 straight. I can go from 1 to 3 or 4 or 5. I can come down from 7 to 6 or to 5 and on. And even at a high stage, from 11th stage, which is almost the near perfection, I can come down. You see here, I can come down from here. Or I can go up also. So this in itself shows that no matter what I do, the outcome cannot be predicted. Because I don't know what is happening inside me. And here I will take you back to the concept of free will. The process I'm using, am I using the process of subsidence or annihilation or inherent nature? For example, if I use the process of subsidence, then I may keep on suppressing my suffering. But ultimately, a stage may come where I will not be able to tolerate it and burst and fall apart. And the same is true of the, this spiritual progress. And we have seen how different, ascetics of high orders, they move up and then they come down. They don't achieve the highest stage, which is the 13th or the state of Buddha. So this concept of Gunasthans is supporting the Anekant and the stochastic process that I was talking to you. And in this, we can predict the likely outcome of it. One cannot say that if you come to stage 7, you will go up to 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, and 13th. When stage 7 is of a very high spiritual purification level itself. And from 7th to 13th, one can achieve in less than 48 minutes. So during that period, our effort of millions of years can go waste if I use the technique wrong and then I move 11 and come back. Then I come to its explanation, why these happens. So there is a text in Sanmati Tark by Kirtan Divakar. He says that any event is affected by 5 causes. We have to look at, analyze it from 5 factors. One is Swabhav, that is what is the nature of the entity. Then Niyati means there are some rules which you cannot change. Like night will come after day. Or one who is born has to die. So there are some rules which you cannot change. Then the karmas. What have you done before? The time. And the last is Purusharth of free will. So these 5 factors he said together and helps us determine the outcome of our efforts. And all these can change except Niyati. Niyati, because these are universal rules, they cannot change. So these are, the factors which in Jain philosophy we see are indicated. But they are, I would say they are not enough because of the nature of the reality itself. And also, these are all dependent on my own action. But I am affected by others also. And that's where it comes external of Paraspargraho Jivanam, imply each living being is also affecting or helping others. Similarly, matter is affecting Jiva continuously. And here I talk to you of, for example, the 7 varieties, Jiva, Jiv, Asra, Samvar, Nijra, Bandh, and Moksha. Asra is influx. That is Jiv has the nature to be attracted by the matter. And matter also has the nature to be attracted by Jiv. So there is always a tussle going on. And then they want to separate because of pain and things like this. So these are the 2 things that help us understand the outcome. And this is, in our control, and this is the impact of my interaction with others or others doing something which affects me. So the predicting the likely outcome becomes very difficult because the reality is very complex. There are millions and millions of variables affecting the experience, let us say. So what can I do in this thing? This picture you see, I'm at the center. Okay. And the outside circle you see is according to Maslow, I've translated into different factors which affect me. For example, let us say the resources I have, my health, my family, friends, personal growth, fun and resources, occupation, and physical environment. I try to chase them to bring a balance. But normally what happens? Most of us will chase one objective at a time. When my child is young, I try to, emphasize more on his getting good grades in the school so that he can go to IIT and move up in the organization. When he grows, then he is, working more to get promotions or increments or better jobs, But in the process, the other factors like the family, the health, they also play part. And sometimes you see that they start adversely affecting. So this cycle we have to see that this wheel keeps on moving smoothly. We have to use certain guidelines. And these guidelines I have shown as values. And these are, this ahimsa, anekant, aparigraha, shram, and sanjam. So these are like the spokes. If we use these properly, then the wheel will keep on moving smoothly. And as I say, we have to change our attitude of not maximizing one, but optimizing all these factors. Because if somebody, let us say, somebody says, oh, life, I have to have friends. So he spends all his time making friends. Then he forgets his family. Or somebody says, I'm going to be the best engineer. Then he chases to be the best engineer. And you might have seen in your own life that a lot of good people who reach to a level, even at very young age, they fall apart. Like I showed you in the Anekantvada thing. So here we have to see that we have to develop an optimization of all these things, that outer cycle that I showed you. And how I do it? Enhance my belief and knowledge continuously. Samyak darshan gyan charitrani moksha marga. That means this is I believe in soul now, but it's not adequate. And accordingly, my knowledge will say. So my knowledge, my belief should become stronger based on my knowledge acquisition and my experience conduct. And this is a continuous process. And second is change causes of bondage from inauspicious to auspicious. Like when I say these things, ahimsa, anekant, and aparigraha, these I should let them play a more dominant role in my decision making. Like Gandhi, he always people used to come to him to ask for solutions to their personal problems. And he used to ask them, give me two solutions. And after he hears two solutions, he will say, which involves less violence. So somebody will say A, somebody will say B. So he will always recommend a solution which involves less violence. So just one consideration helps us improve our own level of happiness. For example, if I cause you hurt, if I shout at you, I will get shout back, from you. If I'm friendly or if I'm more compassionate, I will get that. So we should try to change the causes of bondage from inauspicious to auspicious. अशुभ को शुभ में करना चाहिए. मैं अभी यहाँ पे शुद्ध की बात नहीं करता हूँ, उसकी बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ. I'm just talking of अशुभ को शुभ में करिए, बुरे काम मत करिए, अच्छे काम. And then, we have the whole ethics, follow regime of enhancing physical health, abstinences, don't do things which you should not do for social and moral, happiness. Then certain आवश्यक or obligated duties to keep the process of spiritual purification move at a slower pace. And this, I say, the guiding is Dhammo Mangal Muktitam Ahimsa Sanjamo Tamo. Whatever you do, keep your ahimsa on your top, exercise self-restraint, and perform strenuous effort. Tapo means I say strenuous effort, tapana. So this is what I feel will help us. And this, I just like to discuss with you some of the things to show that Anekantvada does helps us understand better occurrences of planes and places and ways to minimize. Rather than just take one aspect, if we know there are many in the doctrine of Anekantvada, we can help a better, a happier life. Or we can continue to be happy and not be adversely affected by unpleasant experiences. So thank you very much. I now am open to questions.
Thank you so much, Uncle. And I do have few, and I'm sure people also have. Uh, but before that, I'll just like to invite our Jaswal Uncle. He's our mentor, guide, to share some of his thoughts on the topic of Anekantvada as well. Uncle, if you are there, it will be great to hear your perspective as well.
Are you asking me? Or?
No, I was asking Kamal Jaswal Uncle if he's there. Uncle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So if you can give your few thoughts, and then we'll just open it up for Q&A as well.
Well, I must compliment Dr. Shugan Jain for his scintillating talk. He has thrown a new light on the concept of Anekantvada by bringing in elements of wisdom from different disciplines, statistics and mathematics and all. It's been quite. I had to make an effort to follow his train of thought, but then the effort was very rewarding eventually. And so far, I had looked at Anekantvada as a device to reconcile the contradictory attributes of things. But the way Dr. Shugan Jain has related this concept to the ultimate objective of pursuit of happiness and self-realization is really amazing. And hats off to him.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Please tell one difference that I have tried to make from the discussion on Anekantvada. That is more important. Because yeah, good thing, but one should, my feeling, if you go back, I try to differentiate between Vivajyavad and Anekantvada. Because, it's not Anekantvada does not mean, different. I look at you from this far way, that way, or that way, and then say, put together, this is what you are. No. This view I am talking to you of at this moment. But you are a continuous process. And that's the beauty of Anekantvada. It's not by parts, it's a process. And reality is, in fact, a process. That's what Jain philosophy says. That is the beauty of the thing.
So, Mera uncle, this was absolutely very insightful. जो आपने बताया कि who am I and why me, and even the concepts of reality, that reality is a process, right? So उसके एक question ये है fundamental कि Anekantvada is about multiplicity of views. तो concept of right or wrong क्या है? जैसे रशिया और यूक्रेन, Russians may see that Ukraine has done wrong. Ukraine may say that Russia has done wrong. So there is a point of view which is truth, right? कि तो right or wrong अगर नहीं है life में, then how do we deal? तो एक बड़ा basic question मेरे mind में है, and I'm sure others as well.
It is very complex, and applying Anekantvada to entities like nations or things like this. But let us try, make an effort. Let us take the concept of Anekantvada to Ukraine first. See, Ukraine started making some progress. The way I see it is material progress, let us say, okay? But they started demonstrating themselves to be attractive, economically and otherwise. But they forgot that their neighbor is strong and they should build up a good strength, good, defense system, protection system. So what I would say is they tried to maximize some of the factors as a nation, and they did not take the optimizing way. Similarly, Russia, they are hungry, they are trying to spend more time on
Gathering powers.
minimizing on
Yeah.
reducing the impact of growing impact of NATO towards them.
Yeah.
So they saw that as a threat.
So-
So their main concern was not people of Ukraine. Their main concern was that they emphasized more on. So this is one way.
Yeah.
You never know. Tomorrow, America and Russia will join together and fight against the China.
नहीं, so exactly. So in fact, मेरा जो question था uncle कि इसमें people will have different views. For example, somebody may say कि cheating is okay, and I feel as Jain कि cheating is not fine. So multiplicity of view doesn't mean that everyone view is fine or you have to stand for something. तो मतलब right or wrong का philosophy life में फिर क्या है? Because if I see from another person's perspective, जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ wrong could be right.
देखिए इसमें ना इसको आपने जो है ना राइट और रॉन्ग जो है अगेन दिस इज बेस्ड ऑन योर ऑब्जेक्टिव. मेरे लिए दूध पीना गलत है क्योंकि मुझे है ना ये बलगम बनता है तो डॉक्टर ने कहा दूध मत पियो. आपके लिए दूध पीना जरूरी है क्योंकि आपकी बोन स्ट्रक्चर कमजोर हो रही है तो डॉक्टर कहता है भाई कैल्शियम के लिए आपको पीना चाहिए. So this concept of right and wrong is also relative to a particular situation. इसमें यूक्रेन की जैसे my son is here, he says कि ये गलत है ये मतलब रशिया को सपोर्ट करता है मैं नहीं सपोर्ट करता. तो ये हमारे अपने अपने पर्सपेक्टिव्स हैं. We set up different criteria of evaluation and then judge a situation and come to a conclusion कि ये right है ये गलत है. तो ये हमारे अपने है ना ऑब्जेक्टिव. जैसे कि चांडाल है जो मतलब एक वो है बूचर है उसको तो यही गिनना है कि आज मैंने 20 बकरे काटे हैं आज मेरे को 21 काटने हैं. मैं 21 काटूंगा तो मैं कहता हूँ हे भगवान ये निकम्मा है ये अपने कर्म बांध रहा है ये नरक में जाने की कोशिश. तो ये हर एक के अपने अपने पर्सपेक्टिव है. बट व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू डू इज सम ऑफ द थिंग्स व्हिच हैव बीन प्रूवन राइट ओवर पीरियड ऑफ or the likelihood of good resulting is more than the likelihood of resulting bad. जैसे यूक्रेन की और रशिया की आपने लड़ाई कही इसमें दोनों में झगड़े में things emerging good seems to be low from any perspective because destruction of so that's why I think Mr. Modi says there is not time to have a war. That's he's trying to be like a god and say कि नहीं है लेकिन नीचे जो लड़ रहे हैं वो तो लड़ते रहेंगे उनके अपने अपने पर्सपेक्टिव हैं.
So let's hear other questions.
I think,
yes, uncle.
So I think there is a filter that can be applied. I think, and Dr. Jain had touched upon it in his presentation. That is the filter of bondage. Whether any particular action is going to strengthen the bondage or going to weaken it. We can apply that test and then decide on a course of action.
That's a very good analysis. हम है ना तोते तरह रटते जाते हैं मिथ्यात अविरति प्रमाद कषाय ये क्या नाम है योग ये बंद के कारण है. अरे इनका मतलब क्या ये तो सोच लो भाई. मैं डॉक्टर बनना चाहता हूँ. ओके अब मेरी लाइफ जब मैं स्टूडेंट था लेटर से मेरा ऑब्जेक्टिव है डॉक्टर बनने का. पढ़ता मैं इंजीनियरिंग की किताबों हमेशा. तो क्या मैं अपना ऑब्जेक्टिव अचीव कर सकता हूँ ये बताइए. तो पहले अपने बिलीफ तो पक्का कर लो कि मुझे ये करना है मैं ये हूँ मैं डॉक्टर हूँ. जैसे आप इफ यू रीड आवर टेक्स्ट ऑन दे से कि डॉक्टर का जो बेटा होता है उसको जब कोई मिलता है तो कहता है कौन है ये डॉक्टर है. क्यों है बिकॉज दे सी हिज लाइकलीहुड ऑफ बीइंग ए डॉक्टर इन फ्यूचर. है नहीं अभी बनने की उम्मीद है उसकी. सो हमें अपने ऑब्जेक्टिव अपने कारण जो है ना ये आपने जो बताया 5 कारण है ये. अब फिर सबसे बड़ी बात है हमारी फ्री विल. जो कि और धर्म नहीं कहते, सब धर्म तो कहते हैं भगवान करता है, जैन कहते हैं नहीं, ये तुम्हारे हाथ में है। ये कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ श्रम है। जैसे नौका मंत्र में आप पढ़ते हो, नौका मंत्र इज द फाउंडेशन ऑफ जैन फिलोसफी, कि ये श्रम से, श्रम करो, मेहनत करो, यू कैन अचीव दोज ऑब्जेक्ट। हम तो कभी नहीं कहते हे आनंद दाता प्रभु मुझे ये दीजिए, हम तो कहते हैं हम बनेंगे ऐसे। तो these are different aspects that and that's where the beauty of this thing comes. Okay, there are certain givens, there are something you can do. Ultimately, it is what you have to do that will decide the outcome.
Sure. Let's ask the audience if any question anyone has.
Okay.
नहीं, मेरा एक और क्वेश्चन था, आई थिंक, बट आई विल वेट इफ एनीबॉडी एल्स हैज, अदरवाइज मे बी आई कैन आस्क। एक्चुअली जो आपने कहा कि बड़ा फंडामेंटल अगेन कि अनेकांतवाद और स्यादवाद, राइट, तो उसमें हम क्या कैसे उसको सिंपली समझें, डिफरेंस बिटवीन द टू?
देखिए, अनेकांतवाद क्या है? अनेकांतवाद इज ए थॉट प्रोसेस। जैसे भगवान महावीर है, मान लीजिए, उनको ऊपर तो अनेकांत नहीं लगता है, वो तीर्थंकर बन गया बिकॉज ही बिकम बाय अनेकांत। वी नो, लेट अस से द रियलिटी अल्टीमेटली, but then it becomes very difficult to express it. And why? Because of the limitations of the language and our speaking capabilities. हमारी जब सोल होती है, जो प्योर स्टेट में होती है, it processes almost infinite alternatives together and ultimately you have a big mass of knowledge. But to express it, you can't do it. So that's where when you say these things in a way that you are saying a part and leaving the door open for more to be added. And that's where, it appears to be like parts. ये ऐसा है, ये ऐसा भी है, ये ऐसा भी है, ये ऐसा भी है, ये ऐसा भी है, करते रहिए। जैसे पाई का है ना, 22/7 को करते हैं, तो आज मैं पढ़ा था उसने 3.798 डेसिमल पॉइंट तक ले गया था। स्टिल इसने कहा भाई 7-9 आ गए हैं बराबर, तो अब ये मान लो इतने होता है। तो दिस इज व्हाट साधुवाद मीन्स। साधुवाद डज नॉट मीन परहैप्स, दैट इज रॉन्ग, इट इज ए लिटिल बिट, there is a room for yes, it is right. और उसका एब्रीविएशन में आपने सुना सप्तभंगी होता है कि भाई 7 वेज उसमें कह दीजिए, इस तरीके से कह सकते हैं ताकि आप जो है ना इसको करो। तो साधुवाद इज एन एक्सप्रेशन। अनेकांतवाद मेरे लिए है,
अच्छा,
मेरी अपनी थिंकिंग करने की है, लेकिन जब मेरी थिंकिंग जो हुई है वो आपसे शेयर करना चाहता हूँ, तो फिर साधुवाद का इस्तेमाल करना, क्योंकि आप मेरा माइंड नहीं पढ़ सकते। I have to express it, so this
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
एक बहुत ही प्रामाणिक ग्रंथ है स्याद्वाद पर, उसका नाम है स्याद्वाद मंजरी।
हाँ।
आचार्य मल्लेशेण सूरी का लिखा हुआ है, और उसमें उन्होंने उसकी परिभाषा दी है स्याद की। तो स्याद इति अव्ययम अनेकांत द्योतकम, यानी ये एक अव्यय स्वरूप है, इनवेरिएबल है, न क्रियापद है न कुछ और है। मतलब उसका होता है कि एक ये निश्चित दृष्टिकोण है, यानी आप कहते हैं कि अमुक अपेक्षा से, फ्रॉम दिस स्टैंड पॉइंट, अथवा कथनचित
नहीं, हाँ, किसी अपेक्षा, बाद में किसी अपेक्षा से नहीं कहते आप, वो न्याय के अंदर आता है।
नहीं, इसमें परिभाषा तो इनकी यही है।
हाँ।
तो इसके अगर हम इसका प्रयोग करते हैं तो इसमें फिर अन्य धर्मों का जो उसमें वस्तु में रहते हैं विद्यमान, उनका निषेध नहीं होता है।
हाँ, वही तो मैं कह रहा हूँ ना आपसे कि हम है ना किसी का निषेध नहीं कर रहे हैं, ये है, हाँ,
नहीं
इसके
करते
अलावा
हैं।
भी और भी है, इसके
हाँ,
अलावा
तो इट
और
इज
भी
नॉन
कुछ है।
एक्सक्लूसिव।
हाँ।
एक तो लिटिल बिट के बजाय अगर ये हम कहें कि एक पर्टिकुलर व्यू पॉइंट से
व्यू
ये है
पॉइंट नहीं, व्यू पॉइंट का तो नहीं है,
दृष्टिकोण, निश्चित दृष्टिकोण, अमुक दृष्टिकोण, अमुक अपेक्षा से, इस एक्सपेक्टेशन से, इस पैराडाइम में ये बात आती है सहजवाद में।
चलो
आप ये कह सकते हैं कि जो विचार पद्धति है अनेकांत की, उसकी अभिव्यक्ति की एक निर्दोष भाषा पद्धति है।
एक शैली है, अनेकांत की एक अभिव्यक्ति की शैली है।
अभिव्यक्ति की शैली है।
हाँ,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's hear other questions, if any. Okay.
Okay.
So, thank you so much, Uncle, for your insightful talk. I made a lot of notes. इतना ज्ञान है और आपने इसको relate किया with the science, right? There is so scientific evidence to what we read in a literature. It is really mind blowing. और कई बार लगता है कि हम कितने ज्ञानी हैं कि हमें कुछ पता नहीं। मैं तो आपसे बड़े बेसिक लेवल पे क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा था कि मुझे लगा कि इतनी हमारी अंडरस्टैंडिंग जो है वो नहीं, लेकिन द वे आई ट्राई टू अप्लाई इज दैट कि देयर इज ऑलवेज अ डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव। ये जो 6 ब्लाइंड मैन और एलिफेंट का पिक्चर यूज करते हैं इन अनेकांतवाद की, यस, there is another point of view. So you just become more open in your professional world. And in fact, in professional life, I can say from my own experience, that people who really have that built and developed, they are more collaborative, they are easy to work with, they do not have their ego कि my way or highway एक term use करते हैं corporate world में, तो at least there is a different perspective and I'm free to hold to my perspective. I did not need to get into a peer pressure, but I don't have a obligation to change the world and change their mind, right? I can express कि this is what I believe, but I don't need to get attached कि yes, I have to have other person believe in the same way. But that's the way, at least I try to follow. But there's so much depth here, which I think you try to share with us. So thank you very much. Thank you so much for your time and sharing the wisdom with us. And thank you everyone for joining in our first session of the new year. And we hope to continue this path in the balance of the year.
Thank you very much, all of
Thank you.
Thank you for this
Thank you.
opportunity.
Thank
I
you.
hope,
Thank you.
I
Bye.
hope to have contributed a little bit to your
बिल्कुल
knowledge.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
Okay.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay, bye.